Onward to more grinding, which appears to take up this entire clip. It's a good thing we're in no hurry, and at least we won't have anyone standing around awkwardly watching us patrolling a section of grass, like back in Viridian Forest. Well, at least Takanabori can take down a level 8 Rattata, even if something 7 levels lower did quite a bit of damage, all things considered. Nothing amazing, but hey, anything to help speed up the leveling up process for that fish is good in my book, at least. Anything other than rare candies and experience shares. It's not that I like grinding, just that those always felt like crutches to make you skip some aspects of the game altogether. Sort of like with the Steam release of Final Fantasy VIII. There's 2 different ways you can get around the whole drawing magic for a long period of time gimmick. I mean, seriously, that's just one mechanic that probably looked good on paper, but in practice is one of the things that really drags the game down. So in subsequent releases, they've made it possible to mostly skip that part of the game. But as at times mind-numbing as grinding can be, it's not quite that kind of annoying to me in this particular instance. Level grinding is just part of the prep work process. All other games have their own thing that involves preparation for encounters in the future. However, most of those games I end up doing commentary on in this channel seem to be faster-paced ones, where if there's any prep work, there are quick ways to go about it, and after a while you can just forget about it altogether. Pokemon's certainly different from many of my usual LPs in a lot of ways, some of which are rather refreshing, and others are admittedly annoying as all hell. Probably says something that one of my biggest complaints so far is that I need to come up with more things to say during the downtime because there's so much downtime the way I'm doing this old game. There's a reason most LPers tend to skip grinding footage after all. I'd say this LP is an experiment to see if I'm gonna handle other LPs this way or just skip over footage in the future. For all I know, it's going to be a case-by-case basis sort of thing. Oh dear, that could have easily been another bit where Takanabori got taken down by the very thing we're trying to get experience from. And now I'm starting to wonder if it'd just be faster for the little guy to keep getting switched out while others fight for him, or should I just let him keep fighting like this? It's certainly tempting to let him fight his own minor battles that won't count on the board, since he gains more experience points for each Pokemon taken down. But there's no getting around the fact that he's painfully fragile at this point, and he doesn't hit nearly hard enough to make up for that just yet. Yeah, definitely kind of cathartic to see those same wild Pokemon getting knocked out in a single hit when our weakest guy has to get lucky to bring down 2 of them. Granted, I probably should have taken Takanabori and put him to stay in front, so when I switched out to someone else, he'd still be getting experience points. But I think I've gotten the attitude now that he has the ability to fight for himself. He should start fighting, even if he isn't all that good at it just yet. Not exactly a loving attitude, is it? But considering the options we have to level up Pokemon, it's not like we have too many other options here. Seriously, fighting is the main in-game way for Pokemon to grow up and get stronger, with the only alternatives being somehow witnessing part of another Pokemon fighting in their place, or just outright taking drugs. It's not really a game flaw, since that's generally how it goes with any role player I can think of, regardless of what country it came from. It's just that I would have thought one of the ways the series could have evolved over the years is giving us other activities to level up by doing instead of random encounters and trainer battles. But I suppose complaining about the lack of innovation in the Pokemon series would be beating a dead horse at this point. Sure, I'm still working on the first generation, but how many people over the years have bitched about the fact that painfully little overall has been changed from the first generation? This may have been the skeleton that the franchise was built on, but in terms of mainline games at least, they never put too many muscles or skin over that skeleton. Sure, it's letting them keep making money, but sooner or later, people are gonna get sick of going through the same song and dance, and will want some actual evolution to the series they grew up with. And pandering to nostalgia by doing some things with old Generation 1 Pokemon is only going to work so far before people start getting sick of it. Hell, I'm purposely going through this game with Bulbasaur for the most part, because I've gotten sick of seeing Charmander and its evolutions all over the place. All because that line of Pokemon has shown up in how many other things over the years? Hell, even in the old anime, Charmander got to evolve twice, while Squirtle and Bulbasaur stayed in their cute first forms instead of growing up at all. Then there's the fact that the Origins anime showed that Charmander can get 2 Mega Evolution forms, when every other Pokemon that managed to get a Mega form only has 1. And great. I need to find something else to talk about before I start sounding like a bitter old man, though, much like the PG thing, that might be a lost cause. Welcome to level 18, Nim. Probably a good time to head back to the Pokemon Center. And for some reason I choose to keep getting the other members of our team stronger for now. Wonder what my thought process was at the time. Did I just want to strengthen the more combat-capable Pokemon so we could get to the bridge faster? Or was I especially engrossed in what I was reading at the time? It's just as likely I was reading a fanfic online like Ruby, Pokemon crossover, Bulldors, and Boomsticks, or reading a very classic book like Dostoevsky's The Idiot. Yeah, my interests can have quite a bit of range here. It's funny how it can feel like things miss quite a few times, but that's more due to you doing the same thing so often that, statistically speaking, it's actually not that surprising to miss. Of course, it's a lot easier to get annoyed with the game for things to miss when you're playing a turn-based game. If you're playing a more action-oriented game, then missing is more your fault than some number generator. But then I do kind of remember some action games that measured accuracy feeling a bit bullshit when they register every separate shotgun pellet as its own different shot. Still doesn't change the fact that I'm far less likely to complain about not landing a hit when I'm the one aiming and pulling the trigger than when I'm telling some character on screen to strike and the game's algorithm says, "You missed." Honestly, think that spear could have taken us down if it just stuck with using pick. Though maybe I just put too much importance on super effective moves. Yeah, looks like I'm aiming to get everyone who isn't a fish to level 18. Also seems I've had enough of that bit of non-game related reading, so I'm gonna heal and save. I somehow doubt we're gonna be getting Takanobori to level 18 in this clip, though. Yeah, it's an improvement that a level 15 Magikarp is about equal with a level 10 Rattata, but it's also pretty clear that if we want to level him up at any kind of reasonable pace, we're gonna have to do some more babysitting. Or we're just going to have to keep going back and forth between the Pokemon Center and that patch of grass at an annoying rate so he gets every bit of experience from every wild fight. I'd ask why the snake felt the need to weaken the defenses of a fish out of water, but then I looked at the level difference again. Besides, Takanobori could use some easy wins to help him grind up. And of course, just as I say that, Taki gets knocked out. Have I mentioned that a Nuzlocke run would be downright insane for me to go through considering my iffy level of skill? Seriously, if I was playing with that rule set, then we wouldn't have even made it to the 3rd gym before having little or no Pokemon left. I'm not saying anything bad about people who do Nuzlocke runs, I have a lot of respect for them. Just that I wouldn't find it fun to do myself. These games are already rather time-consuming. No need to add various bits of stress for me to dread having to put aside time for them. Yeah, definitely not taking this bird down. Marbleback, smack him. And once again, we are back to the Pokemon Center. Definitely not a clip where we make all that much progress that you can actually visibly see. Now, what to talk about to help kill some more time? I suppose I could chuckle about the fact that in this game at least, the city that has a water-centric gym is not a port city. Hell, the only gym that seems to be in a city that shares a theme with it is Pewter City. And it's not like the game actually did anything with the museum where fossils are housed in the town that has a rock gym. Granted, if every town or city that had a gym followed the same theme as the gym, it might get a bit obnoxious, but still, It feels like a very easy way to help make distinct locations in the game. Not that this particular game is even bothering to try to make distinct locations. The limited graphics kind of make it difficult to do much terrain-wise, but I'd have kind of liked it if Pewter Museum actually played into something more important than just you can spend some money to read some extra dialogue, and you can eventually grab a fossil to revive if you remember it. Ugh. It just feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. Just like it's annoying that Lieutenant Surge in the next city is explicitly former military and we never actually learn about whatever conflict he went through. Hell, I had to check Bulbapedia just to learn what branch of the military he was in, the Air Force. And they must have made that decision long after the game and even the anime were done dealing with him, because his dialogue at the very least implies he'd been in an infantry role of some kind. Though maybe I should save a lot of my annoyance for the retcon details I read in Bulbapedia for when we actually get to Surge. I should probably be talking about Misty more since this is her city, or maybe about Bill since we're going to be heading to him before we go to the local gym. Unfortunately, while Misty was a major character much like Brock was, none of her personality from the anime is going to show up in this game or in any of the later ones. Much like Brock. At the very least, we never hear anything about her siblings or the gym being used for anything other than Pokemon battles. It's actually kind of funny that the anime felt like it did a much better job of world building than the games, especially by having characters do various things that actually had little to nothing to do with said characters' motivation. And, well, considering Ash's quest to become a master is now essentially endless, they were kind of forced to anyway. Yeah, the games are so bloody hyper-focused that we rarely actually learn that much about the world around us unless it's something that's gonna be very relevant soon, and since this game doesn't really have much of a plot, we're not gonna be learning much of anything. Add in some random retcons in the games, plus the fact that any sense of a timeline died with the third generation, and bloody hell, it's just easier to learn the Pokemon world by going through the other media than the games that should be considered the center the rest of the franchise builds off of. Again, I know that they don't want to rock the boat considering the obscene amounts of money that the Pokemon franchise brings in worldwide, but I can't help feeling there's a difference between not rocking the boat and just going out of your way to stagnate as much as possible. It's downright infuriating that so many series that I have loved over the years, that genuinely try to improve themselves over those years, never reach anywhere near this kind of height. But Pokemon goes out of its way to avoid growing as much as possible, and it bloody well thrives. I know, I shouldn't be bitching about these kind of things so much when we're still on the absolute first generation. It just gave me something to talk about while we keep going through this quiet moment where the story is such that it is, and our growth, for the most part, is kind of on hold. Ah well, we're getting close to the end of the clip. Let's see where else my mind wanders. Did some reading, and apparently for many trainer Pokemon and the wild ones, the attack moves really are picked out completely at random. At least in the Game Boy part of the first generation Pokemon Stadium, they are actually more intelligent. It's generally not that big of a thing, especially many of the wild Pokemon don't have all that many different moves to choose from anyway. So if anything, it helps some feel more aggressive, others feel more cautious, and even others feel more balanced, really. Gives them personality in a game where there isn't much to give them personality in the first place. Granted, when they made the original games, they didn't really have a whole lot of room to work with on the cartridge. Hell, a Super Nintendo system would have had more processing power than a regular Game Boy. I'm not bashing the game or its limits, just find it amazing that something this humble ended up becoming such a global giant. How many ambitious titles have there been in the past 3 decades that ended up being forgotten just 2 or 3 years later? Yeah, this seems about as good a time as any to head to the Pokemon Center and save again. We're making progress, even if it isn't especially tangible. Definitely a little too used to seeing our health bar go red due to all the grinding.